zoomed out on a total crypto market cap chart, I really don't have any other words other than it's been years in the making. I've waited years for this. We've waited years for this. I know I say that a lot, but I genuinely can't think of any other words when we're zoomed out on these charts. Right now, at this moment, it's taken years. This is kind of where we are, this moment last cycle. It is the explosion of crypto markets to the parabolic bull cycle into all-time highs. And a lot of this stems from this chart, and this is really going to be a bulk of the video, Bitcoin dominance, what it means for altcoin season. And I just want to say something. If you've been watching my videos for years, or even if you've just been in the crypto space for years and you've been watching other analysts, this macro 4-year cycle data, it's coming to this point where it's like make or break. Are the consistencies of these charts going to continue? We're going to get our answer soon. So whether or not they do, that's up for debate. Either way, we will pivot with the data. But really, monumental things happening on the Bitcoin dominance chart, and that's what I want to discuss in this video as it relates to altcoin markets as well. So hit the subscribe and like on the way in, and let's kind of just jump into this and get an update on things. I want to start foundationally with some key points, things that are happening right now outside of just Bitcoin dominance chart. I just saw this post, $108 billion Van X, Matthew Siegel, tell CNBC, this is a very bullish setup for Bitcoin into the election. I don't know if you saw my post last night, but I did this video last night talking about election data, and we were really zoomed in on the daily. We had AI do kind of a prediction in terms of Bitcoin's all-time high based on election data. So election data, I think, is very important going into this cycle. And he said, we saw the same exact pattern in 2020. But what stood out was something else he mentioned in this clip. Check this out really fast.
To your question about the correlations, the most significant long-term correlations for Bitcoin are a negative correlation with the US dollar and a positive correlation with money supply growth, or M2. So clearly on the latter.
So money supply growth. Now here's the thing. I just saw this post right around when I saw that post. US elections are just a week away. Just talked about it. M2 money supply is above 2021 highs. Bitcoin dips getting bought up quickly. I'm sensing a massive breakout soon. So in that clip, we saw M2 money supply mentioned, right? And look at this. Look at the correlation here. And look at the global liquidity index at the bottom, just kind of breaking out of this long-term consolidation. And look at last cycle. Similar setup going into the last bull cycle. So similar setup back here, similar setup here, and look at the Bitcoin charts. Similar consolidation, similar setup. We have the election things that we just talked about. And let me sprinkle this in, everybody. It took gold ETFs 5 years to break $20 billion inflows, because I'm bringing this up because at this moment of all of these charts coming together in the way that they are, we have Bitcoin ETFs. And Bitcoin did it in 10 months, the most successful ETF launch in history. So this cycle, this is happening. And this is something that's not happened before. And just look at this chart. This is the gold ETF listed on the New York Stock Exchange. Look at this chart for gold. What's Bitcoin going to look like? What's crypto going to look like? So with that, I pivot over to the Bitcoin dominance chart, because this is the one outlier thing, right? We know what happened with Bitcoin dominance this time last cycle. We know what happened with Bitcoin dominance this time 2 cycles ago. But right here, and this is the one thing that I am watching, there were not Bitcoin ETFs. There was not that supply shock so in play in the same sense as it is right now, right? So that's the one thing I see different with these charts. But let's talk about the technicals of these charts. We're on the weekly. It has always been in play, if you've been watching my videos, Bitcoin dominance making its way to this lower high, right? And it's very simply the swing high before Bitcoin dominance fell last cycle to this swing low and this pullback to this green area, this lower high Fibonacci. This is precisely what Bitcoin did last cycle, right? So what I mean by that is if we take our Fibonacci from like the 2016 move to the drop off to the swing low, that green area, Bitcoin pulled back into that area and then it fell into altcoin season, right? So falls into altcoin season, pulls back to the Fibonacci, falls into altcoin season, pulls back into the lower high Fibonacci, and this is where we are right now. Bitcoin right there. What I wanted to do though was really get a snapshot of this, because I think the daily chart really plays into this? And we can take a quick glance on the weekly. Just I want to note something. I want to point out to you a swing high here, and then a lower high on the momentum oscillator, and then a swing high here, and a lower high on the momentum oscillator in play. This is a weekly zoomed out. So are we getting kind of this similar sense, a similar setup on this weekly chart, getting ready for Bitcoin dominance to fall? And the other thing I want to mention to you, check out this move on the stock RSI, quicker moving momentum oscillator, just making its move up towards that lower high Fibonacci with kind of this double top on the stock RSI, and that second swing high on the stock RSI. What was that? That was Bitcoin falling. That was Bitcoin. That was the end of Bitcoin dominance, making its move to the upside, making its move to the swing high. And now what do we have happening right now on the stock RSI? And let me kind of get rid of these other momentum oscillators. Look at this. Swing high, kind of a double top happening. And I don't know how much higher or when this will top out, but look at the similarities of this swing high on the stock RSI, the quicker moving momentum oscillator compared to last cycle, all at this Fibonacci lower high. So technically, from a technical analysis perspective, put aside that crazy supply shock Bitcoin ETF narrative that's different this time. Technical analysis, the chart is looking just so, the consistency here on this chart, it really, I can't say it surprises me, but it's just so crazy to watch this and to be tracking this over so long of a time period, and it's just playing out this way. And what I mean by this is not only are the technical indicators lining up like that, but just look at the Bitcoin halving, right? This white line, and look at it compared to last cycle. So we're in between the Bitcoin halving, and we're in between altcoin season and Bitcoin halving this time. We're in between the Bitcoin halving and altcoin season this time. And it's just lining up so good. So how this plays out, I do not know. If Bitcoin tops out and starts falling, we have total crypto market cap ready to absolutely explode. You can see the consolidation of all these moving averages on the weekly. Here it is, the 50 week. Here's the 200 week down here. But you can see this 20 and the 50 really coming together to this very confluent area just above $2 trillion market cap. And look at it. Last time when Bitcoin, or not Bitcoin, but total crypto market cap exploded to the upside, it was all after that consolidation on this chart. And it happened a little bit sooner around Bitcoin halving, but that was the move for really altcoin season and total crypto market cap in general to make the move to the upside. Remember on this chart, I have a couple targets. We have a 1618 soft target, higher high target of around 4 trillion. And then we have our fun target around 12 to 13 trillion. But I think generally this entire range is very much in play for total crypto market cap. And I think things are going to get crazy. And speaking of crazy, I think this is where things are going to take a surprising turn for many people, because we get in this environment. This is altcoins, by the way. This is excluding Bitcoin and ETH. It's total crypto market cap excluding Bitcoin and ETH. We get into these seasons, and it could probably have been something like back here, a season. If you remember, November 2020, Bitcoin was breaking its bull market doors, really going crazy. Altcoin season just getting ready to happen. But imagine the consolidation here and just thinking, you know what, man, maybe Bitcoin dominance is just going to explode this time and altcoins aren't going to perform. And then look what happened. I think we're in a very similar season. Man, maybe Bitcoin dominance is just going to explode and altcoins are done. It's just going to be different for altcoins moving forward. And then if that's the general sentiment across much of the space, what happens next? Are we going to get this explosion to the upside? And this is just something that I'm very much watching, because over the years, it's something I've been talking about. And that is to say the 4-year cycles of Bitcoin, how that plays into altcoin season. So the data on the daily chart for Bitcoin dominance getting pretty crucial, I would say, to play into everything that we're talking about right now. Look at this daily chart. Insane. And if I open up the momentum oscillators, just want to point out to you, Bitcoin's kind of still has some room for upside, right? So when we're looking at this space in between right now and historically when altcoin season starts, and this is kind of like the beginning of December or so, we have some room for upside for Bitcoin. Bitcoin could absolutely make its way into this channel before really topping out and finally starting to fall. And if we zoom out on the chart, just notice on the Bitcoin daily dominance chart, where Bitcoin dominance was before it fell. It was quite overbought. So we still have some space for Bitcoin dominance to the upside before we get a move to the downside. So that's what I'll be watching on the shorter term. But these are my thoughts. I really just wanted to talk about this because Bitcoin's, really approaching 60%. I saw a post that Bitcoin broke 60%. I'm not sure if it touched it or not, but it is right there, and it's right beneath that lower high Fibonacci, as you see. So continue to track it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, everybody. I appreciate you cruising through. Hit the subscribe and like, and I will see you in the next video. God bless.